Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So this is in response to a viewer on their perception of NPD. So he goes on saying that my thinking is it's normal human progression. We are all people. NPD and the other 9 disorders are just cumulative crosses we bear through life. So as we've dealt with our narcissist, we pick up some narcissistic traits. And is this just normal progression through life? I relate the actions of the narcissist to the kids that I teach at school. And it does seem to confirm that the narcissist is in a childlike state. But do they get worse as they age? Do we pick up traits? Do we start becoming borderline or bipolar? What exactly is going on? Because these personality disorders are caused by brain damage. And that happens through traumas, and traumas can be physical or emotional. So is it something that happens through life? People who are schizophrenic, they go through life, and once they cross that bridge over into schizophrenia, they can't come back. And it develops over time and it gets worse. So he continues on that most of us are mature enough to repress and control them. So that's what we've learned. And as a healthy person, we've learned to kind of conform to societal needs, so we can all get along, to give and share, how to handle certain situations. But when you're going through a stressful event, some people handle it calmly, some people rage, some people get flustered, and a lot of it is the root of how they learn to deal with things in childhood. So he continues on, I got a few and they are getting out as I get older. We were all close to NPD when we were teenagers. So that's kind of a good point. We're all little spoiled brats when we're kids, teenagers. The hormones are taking over. Our desires are starting to create the sexual desires. We want what we want. We want to stay out late. We want to party. So that's kind of a good point that, yeah, kind of when we're teenagers, we lie. We don't want to tell our parents where we are. Some of us are better at not lying quite as much as others. Some of us are more afraid of our parents, so we're going to follow the rules. Or some of us feel lucky that we have so much and we don't want to give that up. Sometimes that's like the narcissist, where they like their new supply, so they're going to follow their P's and Q's just to get what they want. But some got stuck, and a lot of it, that's his words, but some got stuck. And that's part of the reason they don't diagnose NPD until like you're 17, 18 years old, because they do know that we go through this teenage stage. So his problem, he says, is seeing only symptoms of disorders in every people he meets. Kids, animals, and nature relax him a lot. Constantly analyzing every expression is tiresome. And that's true, because after a while we start, someone's like, you're like, oh, what does that really mean? Is that like they're confused, they don't like me, they're saying something, or when they're not, no, I don't want to go. And they're nodding their head. They're saying, I want to go, but their words aren't matching up. And it does get exhausting trying to analyze every expression. Sometimes that's how we fall into this trap. We don't always see the signs. Were you cheating? And they're nodding their head no. And we got to be careful too. When we do that, it's a natural tendency for them to mirror our image. So do we cause that body movement? And it gets exhausting analyzing everything. So he says, before I didn't care about NPD people. Now I punish them as I like it. So that's kind of what I'm talking about as far as the narcissistic traits that we can pick up. So this person's kind of pissed off, it sounds like, at NPD people and wants to punish them. And this can be taken, now I punish them as I like it. So he could be saying, I punish them because I like it. Or he's punished, his words could mean that he punishes them as it comes. So true NPD can't be cured. It only involves others, and that's true. It can't be cured. Boundaries must be met in social contacts, which is true. We have to set our boundaries, and we also have to respect other people's boundaries, even if that means the relationship's not going to work. We can agree to disagree. So he says after 40 plus years, people stop thinking and don't want changes. And that's kind people with mental illnesses are less likely to want to change things or to adapt to the situation, the relationship. So he says his advice is to see how high is your NPD. If you get yourself to a psychologist and get treatment, it's not NPD yet. So a lot of people say that narcissists won't go to counseling, and there's all different variations on how narcissistic somebody is. So there are 9 traits. You have to have at least 5. Some might have all 9. So some may most won't go to counseling. Most don't see themselves as a problem. Some, after a while, depending on how traumatic things go, like what is going on. Some might want to manipulate people. They might go to counseling to learn to manipulate better, not necessarily to heal. Like, what is going on? Why is nothing working anymore? Why are people saying this? And maybe they go, sometimes they will go for validation that they're not in the wrong. Do they usually seek treatment on their own? Not usually. Sometimes they might go if forced because they don't want to lose their supply, but most don't go to counseling. And so he's kind of saying if it's a true narcissist, they're not going to self-reflect and go, oh, something's wrong with me, because the narcissist doesn't think anything's wrong with them. But he continues on, don't lose yourself. NPD was born to protect you when you were younger. And I'd like to clarify that. Narcissistic traits have protected us, but the disorder is different than traits. The disorder wasn't, it's the person thinking it's protecting them when it's actually damaging them. Their relationships, it's damaging. So what does that mean? How are narcissistic traits meant to protect us? There comes a time where we do have to focus on ourselves. You know, they talk about, like in the airlines, when you're flying, put your mask on first before you put it on your child. Because if we're taking care of everything on the outside, we can't function. So is that selfish that we put our mask on first? It might feel that way, but it's necessary. So it is a protective measure to focus on ourselves sometimes. But when you go through life with this disorder, it's almost like you're putting your mask on and forgetting about everybody else. So the purpose is gone. It's just the self-focus part. It's not to help others. And as we get older and more experiences, we don't need it anymore. So there are still times that we're going to need it, but it comes to a point where we should have our coping skills at that time. And if you're from a healthier background, it's easier. And this is where I struggle, because I grew up fairly well. But there are certain triggers that I have from childhood, little frustrations. I was allowed to build my own playhouse. So I saved up. My dad even took me to get blueprints so he could make it, and then he like changed his mind. And it was kind of like he encouraged me because he bought, it was his idea to go looking for blueprints. And then when I save up the money, and then I wanted to buy a shed. I had enough money. We had this little cement block that used to be a sand box, and we took that down, and the shed would have fit perfect right there. and I had this money, I was excited about it, and then I wasn't allowed to. So broken promises kind of bug me. But for the most part, I didn't really have like triggers, but then after 30 years of narcissistic abuse from two different people, we start having triggers. And I'm fairly healthy, but there's times I get, as a teacher, I get frustrated. Um, and there's times it's like the kids are irritating me, but they're not irritating me as much as my voice just sounded. Um, and that's from the internal struggles. It's not necessarily what is going on with the kids. It's triggered by that. And then my anxiety, as I'm trying to heal through the narcissistic abuse, or my sadness, or whatever I'm going through, is it escalates the situation. And I handle it pretty good, but there's times you're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? It's like class after class of like bombardment of torture. I love the kids, but we do go through things in life. So is it a natural progression? We can fight it. We can fight it. But we have to be careful that we don't get to that point where there's so much brain damage that we're like, fuck everybody. I don't give a fuck. You piss me off, you're out. That's kind of what the narcissist is. So natural progression through life, it can be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And the thing with narcissistic abuse is it sucks us down that funnel and it traps us and twists everything to where we're trauma bonded. And some of us get out. If you guys go across my channel, other people's channels, you'll see some people like, I'm out, I'm done. Others are like, when are they coming back? With narcissistic relationships, there's a lot of breakups. It's not always the narcissist that breaks up. So it seems to me that the ones who, it goes both ways. I feel, and I could be wrong, so comment below. I feel the ones that are more traumatized are the ones that were left, because we lost control of our lives at that time, and it wasn't our decision. Some of us are just frustrated that we had to make that decision, and we're pissed. But if you were truly in love with someone, you would listen to the other person. And when both people love each other, there's compassion for the other person. Usually that's how you work out struggles. But the narcissist is too focused to where they start to starve us, where it's an imbalance to where the narcissist is always getting their way, or they're not hearing our side. And it's really important to validate people. You don't have to agree with them, but to let the other person know, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Repeat it is a good way to validate you understand what they're saying. But everybody's so different, and it's so hard to know the right way to handle people. So we come from our perspective on how our words or our actions are going to affect our narcissist. But that's from our perception. And when we do try to realize that they have a different type of need, it's almost impossible to make it work, because they need to be the center of attention. So, if we try to acknowledge them more, we're walking on eggshells. When we walk on eggshells, they pick up on that. They feel they're patronized or irritated that we're weak. And it's just a messy, vicious cycle. And they are predictable. There are cycles to their relationship, the ups and downs. And that's why some of us with, thinking about the new supply, they're going through the same thing. It just takes time for the destruction to set in. It just takes time. Just like if I ripped a couple little stitches out of your pants, they're going to hold up for a while. But the more piece by piece, eventually those pants are going to fall down. And that's the same with the narcissistic relationship is it taking away each little thread over time to their relationship. It's going to fall apart because the narcissist doesn't take the time to mend. And if they took the time to mend, the relationships probably could work, or at least for a long time. In any relationship could work when you take the time to mend it. But the narcissist almost adds fuel to the fire when they give you that silent treatment, the dirty looks, the dismissiveness, talking over you, not letting you. We have a need to be heard. And it's almost like we're willing to do the exchange of you listen to me, I'll listen to you. And the narcissist, when they listen to us, it's almost like they're trying to take what they can from that relationship to throw back in our face, to tell us you're wrong on this. And if you notice the way the narcissist takes a big, long conversation, they take out certain portions that really aren't the relevant part. They add things to hurt us when they're talking to us by demeaning us or belittling us. And it's a progression in a sense. But like he said, there comes a time when we don't need to be in this survival mode, which is what narcissism is about, is hiding things, getting what we want, avoiding shame. I see it with the kids, you know, they flat out know that you see them do something and you're like, did you just do that? And they'll say no. You're like, it's so obvious. Like, I know you just did it. You did it right in front of me. Their attention span, just it's so much like NPD dealing with a narcissist. But there is a difference between narcissistic traits and NPD. So be careful on that too with trying to diagnose your person. What we need to focus on, are we happy? Are we happy? Is it worth the pain that we go through? Are we happier more or less when we're with our narcissist? Do we dread them coming home or do we dread going home? Are we scared of what the day brings? And it was really sad when there was times that, you know, I did some really nice things and it was all torn apart. Like that one time I decorated for Christmas, made his meal he requested and cleaned the house. And then my daughter fell asleep with me. So he was upset I didn't vacuum the back bedroom, which I vacuumed every day. So it's not like I needed it. My daughter needed to sleep and it's 11 o'clock at night and I just laid down till he got home from work. And he said, walking up, I was really excited. You decorated. And then he's like, I could have made my own meal. And I'm like, you asked for it. So his focus was on vacuuming the back bedroom instead of, thank you for making the meal I asked. Thank you for decorating and spending the day with our child. And the house was clean. And that's what he wanted to focus on. And it kind of breaks your heart. You're like, I spent all day doing this. And the only reason I laid down with my daughter is because I felt bad when I'm shopping. I'm kind of in shopping mode where she's sitting there and she was a little trooper. She was only like a year and a half sitting in this cart getting a little irritated, you know, and I just wanted some snuggles with her. And just what they focus on. They're not happy for what they get. They want everything perfect, and if it's not perfect, they'll tear it apart. Because the rug really was. We didn't have animals at that time, and nobody really went in the back bedroom. It was our bedroom, but it wasn't a mess. And they're not thankful for what we do. And it kind of demeans us. But if we don't do it, like things would have been different. If I didn't make the meal, he probably would have said, you could have waited to vacuum. Like, I'm hungry after work. I asked you to do that. So you can't win. You can't win with a narcissist. And I know it hurts. I know it hurts. And some of you are longing to get back with your narcissist, but it's not going to get better. They don't treat people better over time. If they do, it is like a child where the child acts good for a little while, just like with Christmas coming. Our children are going to try to act a little better to get those presents. Once they get those presents, they're just going to go back to doing what they're doing. It's not like I don't know. I'm real scared for the way society is handling people, because we're all in survival mode, and there's got to be some social rules on how we handle people. It's falling apart. But comment below on what you think about that. It's kind of an interesting take. It's just a normal progression through life. It's trauma based. It is trauma based. And as you get older, you've gone through more trauma. But be careful on the amount of damage you let somebody do to your heart and your brain. Because there's that broken heart syndrome. You can actually die. Your heart rips apart. And emotional damage is some real stuff. So how do we heal? I'll do some more videos on that, but take care of yourself first. Don't forget about the other people in your life. You can take care of them too. Take care of yourself first. Don't be narcissistic where you just take care of yourself and forget about the people you love, because those are your support systems. Those are the people worth living for, to see. Live for yourself, live for the people that love you, but don't live for the people that are going to starve you of that oxygen, hold that mask away from you, and tease you with your life, your happiness, because you deserve to be happy. Thanks for watching. Comment below. One-on-ones are available. Topic requests are always welcome. See you soon. Share if this could help somebody.